Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow.
Say my name.
I am your father.
Real wise liberal.
Hey, big boy.
Oakley dokley doo.
Are you little? Let's rock.
This is the Not Half Dad podcast. My name is Dan, and sitting across from me, the most handsome man in the room, Aaron. Welcome, Aaron.
You know I blush when you say things like that.
You're like Superman's cape right now. I tell you what, we have a little entrance, a little intro.
We do, yeah. This really amazing dad made this amazing intro for us. His name's Dan.
Oh, stop it! Now I'm turning Superman's cape red. Well, I tell you what, today, Aaron. I have to say, money doesn't grow on trees. Am I right?
True. Yeah.
I think we've all heard a dad, if not our own, other dads say that exact phrase. And it's, tell you what, there's a lot of layers to this one because you're dealing with money, and with money comes, a lot of issues, a lot of good stuff. But, and then too, when you add kids into the mix with said money, oh my.
Oh, yeah.
So, to kind of start this off, I just want to say that some families are rich, some families are poor, which puts parents in a number of different situations. Nobody's in the same identical situation when it comes to this stuff. And, we've kind of, while setting up and prepping for this show, we've talked a lot about how we handle our families. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I would also like to get some feedback from the listeners too, and hear how people deal with this because it's an interesting age that we live in now. We don't have wallets full of cash, and we don't have we're not writing checks and stuff like that. We're using we're doing online shopping, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but. I think the best starting off point for this was how our dads were with money. Starting back at the OG. Do you want to take the reins on this and kind of enlighten a little bit?
I can. You got your tissues?
Oh, I can't. Tissue man, hey, get over here.
No. I'm
Bring
kidding.
the whole box.
Okay. So as we talked about on the last couple of episodes. I grew up from a divorced household. My mom was, I guess, essentially a single mom, and I spent most of my time with her.
Right.
And I saw my dad every other weekend, and he was very, very private about finances and stuff like that. Same with my mom. And growing up, as I was to understand, we were broke all the time. Like always broke,
Sure.
Which I don't think necessarily was the case because as an adult now, I'm always in the mindset of I'm always broke, even though we're not.
You hit that point when you become a parent where it's like, it just kind of clicks. You just you start taking
You're like,
that
I'm
stance whether
always
you are
broke.
or not. Yes.
I'm always broke.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so my dad was. We didn't have debit cards. We didn't have that. That wasn't a thing.
Sure,
didn't exist. He didn't have a credit card. He paid cash or check for everything, mainly cash. And I remember every Saturday he would, we would get up in the morning, and the first thing we would do is we would go to the bank. We would go to the bank. He would deposit his check. He would withdraw some money, and then we would go get donuts. And we go back to my brother and sister, who were a little bit older than me, and they were at his house sleeping still. And that would be every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning,
you always hit that bank up.
Always hit the bank every single Saturday morning as soon as it opened.
Yeah,
He was up at 5 in the morning, clinking his coffee cup in the in the kitchen.
Sure.
And we would be at the bank as soon as it opened.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my introduction into money. He always paid cash for pretty much everything, and that kind of bled into me when I was early 20s, late teens, early 20s. I started working and stuff like that. Didn't have a debit card. Didn't have even a checking account. Really, I just paid cash for everything.
Sure.
So that was just kind of how it worked.
I was kind of the same way. Yeah, I was kind of. I just always had cash on me, and it was kind of because of how my dad was too. So, did you find it hard when you just paid with cash compared to how it is nowadays? We were everything's digital, everything's on a card.
Yeah. Well, I think back then it wasn't. It was just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, how the hell was I not broke as all get out?
That's what I'm saying.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
Because you go in and it doesn't seem like much, but you go in and you pay $30 for something, and it's not $30. It's 29 and change, and you give them a 30 and you get some change back, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with your debit card or whatever, you can track the transactions. You know exactly how much is coming out for every single transaction, and that's exactly how much it is. So you can calculate all your money a lot easier now than I did back then.
As you were saying that,
And it's weird.
Yeah, it really is. It really is something that just hit me. When you go to Sharper Image or you go to one of these places, or just Walmart, and they've got these really cool change collectors that'll automatically add it up for you, or you put it in there and a robot will dance, or whatever.
I remember those. Yeah.
It's like, thank God we don't own stock in that, because
I know, right?
people don't have a lot of change on them anymore. It's
I
becoming
still
a thing of the
have
past.
I have a change counter jar.
Yeah.
You put it in and it counts the each coin that goes in.
Yeah.
Still have one of those.
I remember my mom. She would always have big jars, or just big giant containers that she would fill with change.
Yep.
And those things were heavy.
Yeah.
Oh man, you drop one of those on somebody and.
My dad was kind of the same way. He had a big Coors Light.
Yeah.
He didn't drink,
Uh-huh.
but he had a big Coors Light, or it was a Budweiser thing we got from Anheuser-Busch or something like that, and it was full of coins.
Yeah.
And every few months he would take it to the bank with him, and they'd dump it out, and he'd deposit that into his checking account or whatever, and then start over again.
I do see the coin. I don't know if it's called Coinstar or something
Yep,
like that. I do
Coinstar.
see those around
Yep.
still. They outside of Kroger and that kind of
Yep.
stuff, grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, one of the things that I would hear my dad say, pretty much more than just about anything, is, I need to balance my checkbook.
Oh my gosh!
I'm balancing my checkbook. Got to balance my checkbook again. He would always say that, and I was always like, my gosh, he's got to balance his checkbook. That doesn't seem like very much fun at all.
Mm-mm.
And he would be sitting there, and I would peer over every once in a while, and I'd see all those numbers there, and I'd see all those, and it's like, man, it sucks being an adult, doesn't it? It sucks doing stuff like that. And he was always doing it.
Yeah.
But the funny thing, and I think that even he would get a smile about this, the funny thing with my dad is I think he still writes checks pretty religiously. If he owes somebody money, well, let me cut you a check. Let me cut you a check. Got to cut you a check. And it's like, hey, man, you know what? I'm cool with it. I love that. Because that's just how he does it, and he's just used to doing it that way, and that's fine. But my dad, he was just an incredibly hard worker, just one of the most hardworking guys I've ever seen or heard of in my life. My stepfather, Donnie. My dad's name is Dan, just like me. My stepdad's name is Donnie, and both of them fiercely hardworking guys.
Mm-hmm.
And when you work hard, you get money.
That's typically how it works.
Hopefully, you're in that situation where you do in fact get money. But with my dad, he would he worked at Caterpillar, and he from a very young age. would always teach me the value of money.
Yeah.
Don't blow your money. Don't waste it. Make sure it's something that you need, something that you really want. Don't blow your cash. And that was instilled in me from day one. So not only do I remember my dad always balancing his checkbook and taking care of money and always being, my dad is very generous too. He was, I guess some people could say I was always taken care of. I always had everything that I needed growing up. Some people may even say that I was spoiled. I was an only child. I do have a half sister. She lived in Missouri for most of my childhood. Lives here now. Love her to death. Have a great relationship with my sister. But growing up, she lived in Missouri, so I was basically an only child. Gotcha. And but what's funny is because of how mom and dad, I got to throw mom in there too, because she was always good about this stuff.
Sure.
But because of how they are, there would be instances where I would be at the toy store, and let's say I have a $5 or $10 bill, and it's like there's some kids that it's burning their hands. The fires of hell are pulsating through their pores and coming out of their hands and burning that money up because they just got to get rid of it. They got to get rid of it before it burns to a crisp. What the hell was that I just said? That is
Here's the thing, though, that I relate to that because that was me.
That was you?
That still is me, really.
I'm the exact opposite. The exact opposite. I would hold that $10 bill in my hand. I would look up at the toy, and even if it was a toy that I really want, I would say to myself, something better may come along.
Yeah.
I can do without this toy today. And I wouldn't buy it, and I would keep that money. And it wasn't the fact that I felt good that I had the money. It was just I don't really need it.
Sure.
I don't need that thing right now because I was taught the value of money.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's very important to instill into your kids, and we're going to get into that for sure. But
well, I think that on my side of things with that is I try to teach them. I'm like they're kind of that way because they're either 6 and they're 9 and they're like, oh my gosh, I got $1 from the Tooth Fairy. Can we go to the Dollar Tree? I'm like, hold the phone.
Yeah,
relax.
Yeah,
I'm like, why don't we hold on to it? And then if you lose another tooth, then you'll have $2.
Yep.
I try to teach them. I've tried to teach them that way, and I understood the concept of money when I was a kid because I saw my dad using money all the time, and I saw my mom using money all the time and stuff like that. But I didn't understand the value because I didn't have my own money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like we didn't do chores to get an allowance. We did chores because if you didn't do chores, you got your ass beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I had, it is funny because I haven't thought about this in years, but I think I had a situation where it was, I want to say it was $2 or $3 for the front yard and $5 for the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like that. So I made out like a bandit.
Sure.
And, for a 12-year-old or whatever.
That's good money.
I was a millionaire.
Yeah.
I had a lot of money.
That's right.
But let me ask this. Were you, and we haven't talked about this
Sure.
in planning the show, were you generous with your money as a kid? Or were you stingy? Would you buy, let's say you went to the gas station, you rode your bike down to the gas station with little Timmy, and you get there with little Timmy, and you say, they have 20 Jolly Ranchers for $1.
Yeah.
Would you give him 10 Jolly Ranchers?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Because
I've always been I've always been generous.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I am, especially, now that I'm adult, I am very generous.
Yeah.
As a kid, because I didn't have siblings, I think, and I've never really thought about this, so I'm actually trying to think very hard. You could see the look, it's almost pain on my face because I'm thinking so hard. I may have been a little stingy. It's not saying that I wouldn't help somebody in need, because that would be my number one.
Sure.
As a kid, I was very compassionate, and if somebody needed something, I would give them all of my money, which I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think instead of splitting my Jolly Ranchers with little Timmy, I think I would have gave him like 2. I would have kept 18, and I would give. No, I'm stretching it. No,
sure.
I think I was a little more stingy though with my money, and it's because I was an only child and I wasn't used to sharing with siblings. And,
That makes sense.
Or getting everything cut in half, or whatever the case may
Thirds.
be. And it's not that it makes me a brat. I feel like I'm saying I was a bratty kid. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was just simply. I wasn't faced with that situation very often.
Yeah, you weren't used to having to
I
do
wasn't.
that. I got you.
You hit the nail on the head. I wasn't used to it, and so I think maybe as I got older, I got more used to it, and it was a little more generous with stuff.
Sure.
And see, that's the thing. I'm assuming that's how it was. It's kind of hard to remember back that many years.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that's how it was.
You can't remember 30 years ago?
I know. It's.
Yeah.
The old mind's already starting to go a little bit. But I can't remember an exact specific situation.
Sure.
So that's why I say I'm just kind of guessing. So one thing that I always dread, taking the kids to the store. We were talking about this the other day.
Dude.
Give me the rundown of what happens when you go to the store.
So I'm telling you right now, like, every single time, it doesn't matter, as a dad or as a dude or whatever it is, there are a few instances where I like to go shopping.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like to just walk around the store and look at everything or whatever. I'm just not that type of person. Unless I'm in that mood and I want to go do that. So, like, if it's clothes, if I'm looking for clothes, like, I love clothes. I have a shoe whore. Like, I'm not kidding, I think I have about 40 pairs of shoes.
Holy moly.
So I will go to, like, DSW and I'll walk around there for a good 20 minutes just looking at shoes, trying stuff on,
Sure.
Whatever. I'll do that. But when I'm going to the grocery store and I have a very simple list that my wife gives me,
4 or 5 things.
4 or 5 things,
Sure.
and I got the kids with me, I'm like, let me just go run in, we'll knock this out, and we'll get out of there.
Yeah.
So what happens pretty much every time is that because my kids don't really understand the concept of money and how it works, is we'll walk through the store, and then all of a sudden I'll turn around and they've vanished into thin air, and I'm looking for them.
Poof.
I'm looking for them, and they somehow have been tractor beamed into the toy aisle of whatever store that we're in.
Even stores that you don't realize have toy aisles.
Right.
They'll find it.
We're at Hy-Vee, and I'm like, when did they get toys? What happened? And I find them, and they're glassy-eyed, staring at the toys, and I'm like, guys, we got this. This is all the stuff that we need right here. We have this list right here. Let's get it. Let's go home. And then the dreaded question:
Uh-oh.
can I have this?
Every time. Every time.
So then, what should have been a 5 to 10 minute shopping trip in total turns into a 20-minute hostage negotiation of my life.
I feel like you're reading my story, because every word that you just said, I'm right there with you, brother.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. And it's not. And here's the thing: it's like, it's not just my kid. It's not just your kids. It's not just the neighbor's kid. It's every single kid.
Yeah.
I remember doing the exact same thing
Definitely.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then it's no, we're not getting that. We've got this. This is what we need to get. And then it's them throwing themselves on the floor and just being upset in general the whole time and knocking stuff off the shelves because they can't get what they want.
Absolutely.
That's what my kid does. So for Lola, the oldest, it's usually a toy of some type. And then for Sylvia, it's usually like candy. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy you a giant 50-pound bag of Starburst. Okay? Not going to happen. So one of the things I've started doing is I will, if I know for sure I'm going to a store with them, is I know that they have money.
Yeah.
Because of either the tooth fairy stopped by, grandma and grandpa gave them birthday money, or they've done some sort of a chore to get some sort of allowance. And I go, hey, we're going to a store. You might want to bring your money with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll go to the store, and I will find them all glossy-eyed. Oh my gosh, look at that LOL doll.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, can I get that? And I'm like, did you bring your money? Well, no, I didn't. I guess not.
Nope.
Guess you can't. Sorry.
But you know what? That's
right.
a valuable lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't bring your money.
That's right.
Not my money.
You're not using my money.
Your money.
My money pays for groceries.
Exactly.
You want chicken nuggies?
You're going to be eating
Sorry.
tonight, right? Yep. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Exactly.
Isn't it funny too? And I think everybody that's listening has probably had this happen to them personally, and if they have kids. You find something you want, you have your money with you. You find something you want, and you don't have enough for it.
Oh, yeah.
You always find that thing that's way out of the price range of what you have. If you have $10, you're going to find that Megazord Power Rangers thing that's 4 foot tall, and it's like, no.
Have you seen it? I've got it. It's right over.
You've got
it's around the corner.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. You have a case for it,
Yeah.
and everything. That's you dirty dog. You never cease to amaze me. Yeah, it's that, or it's like, or you go into a section. And let's say they have $20 and they go into the video game section. They go into the electronics, and they'll have those ones that are cheaper.
Sure.
And it's like, you tell them, hey, you're kind of nudging them in a direction. Hey, maybe that one looks fun. We can play that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. And they say, no, that one sucks. No, that one's, that's why that one's $20, because nobody wants it.
Right.
I want that one over there, and it's the deluxe edition of
Cyberpunk 2077. It's $100.
Exactly. And it's like, whoa. We're talking about our kids, not you. You got off of. I know. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
got you. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
We're going to talk about that later, too.
I
I need to hear more about
I
that.
haven't played it.
You haven't?
No.
Well,
I'll tell you about it later.
well, yeah. We'll dive into it together then, because I need to look into it. So anyway, it's just funny how that happens. You can try to, even when they have it in their hand, even when they know this is how much I have, sometimes it's not good enough.
No.
They want what they can't have. Well, I don't know if it's they want what they can't have, but I think it's they just don't have the concept of, we're not gonna give the extra money.
Right.
I guess some parents would.
So it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
So we've been in that situation a couple times, and Alyssa will be, paying at the register, and I'll be wrangling Sylvia, getting her up off the floor and trying to brush the COVID off of her or whatever. and Lola will have something, and she'll have the money, and she doesn't have enough money. So Alyssa will go, tell you what, I will front you the remainder. However, next time you get money, I get my money back. So she loans her whatever the balance is, and then she takes back what she is owed, and she'll keep a note of it. She keeps notes of that stuff.
How does Dad feel about that?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I like that.
Because then she goes, oh man, I just got $20. It's like, oh yeah, but you still owe me $5.
So you've got 15 now.
So now you have 15. Here you go. And that's great. The other, I'll come. Just remind me. We'll come back around.
Sure.
My dad did something like that with me, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's just. I think that's also a good learning opportunity too. I'm going to loan you this.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a loan to buy that car. I'm going to give you a loan to buy that house, but you are going to give me that money back.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know. You've got to kind of look at this stuff as building blocks for later on in life, obviously. But it's just funny, and I know that we were talking about this earlier too, is how money is kind of an invisible concept
nowadays.
now.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you see that?
Well, it's interesting because when Alyssa and I first got married over 10 years ago now, I still carried cash on me.
Yeah.
And I think I have $20 stuffed in my nightstand drawer because it was in my pants pocket or something like that, and I completely forgot that it was there. And then the other day I was cleaning my drawer out, and I'm like, oh, shit, I have $20. Sweet. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, so I just put it back in the drawer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's even to the point now where, like, with, you've got Apple Wallet, and I don't even need to take my card out. I just put it up to the thing, and it beep, and then it's done.
It's so dangerous.
It is.
It is.
And they have the cards now. You don't even need to swipe them. You just press them up there with the chip in it or whatever. They have those now, the contactless cards.
Right.
And I think that is a factor that when we're getting frustrated with our kids because they're in the store and they're asking for something, we have to go, wait a second. I don't know if my kids have ever seen, well, I mean, they have because they get money, but you know what I mean? I don't think they've ever seen me holding money. So they don't get it.
Good call.
They don't get it. They don't see us writing checks. I think I've written a check twice in like 3 years.
My dad would be ashamed of you. He would just be bummed.
Sheila, my mother-in-law, still balances her checking account even when she uses a debit card.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
which I'm like, hey, that's cool that you can do that. I went to an inner city school. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. It's just funny how that works, But I guess as from the standpoint of a dad, we kind of gotta, because we've got youngins.
Yeah.
My youngest son is 8. Your youngest
6.
And it's like we've got to kind of reinvent this teaching thing with money on the fly, and it's you wonder how it's going to be 10, 15, 20 years down the road. What are they going to have to do then?
Fingerprint?
Yeah. How are they
something,
going to have to
biometrics or something
or
crap?
blink your eye in succession a certain way to spend this amount of money.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. But I do. I think it's important to tell kids, hey, you can have cash, you can have a check, something physical that you hold.
Yeah.
But the power of money is, the concept and the power of money is something that needs to always be at the forefront of your mind, because even if you can't see it, it's still there. But it's also easier to spend sometimes. And I think that my kids, especially Parker, my littlest, he gets money. He just wants to get rid of it.
Yeah.
He just wants, I want that. Okay, my money's gone. I've got my stuff. I'm happy with it. The problem is he didn't take enough time to think about it. And I think this is because going off of how I was, I would look at I would do math equations and scientific equations to try to figure out if I really wanted that.
I just imagine you were in your room like a beautiful mind, just writing on the wall these big equations.
Chalk up on the walls, the ceiling, chalk everywhere of just all of these equations of do I want that He-Man or not? I should have said Ninja Turtles. I was going to say, I'm going to redo it. Do I want that Ninja Turtle or not? I wasn't a He-Man guy, really.
Really?
I wasn't.
I wasn't either.
No.
My brother was a He-Man guy.
He was a He-Man guy?
He's a little bit older than you, I think.
Okay. I wasn't a He-Man. I wasn't a Transformers or a G.I. Joe. Those three were completely out of the mix. Now, I was a Ninja Turtle. I was a wrestling. And, God, what was the other one? And just monsters. I always like monster stuff. So I think we've digressed. Back to the topic at hand. Yeah, I would really make sure that I wanted something before I had it. My kids, they have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
It's frustrating sometimes because I know that he's going to buy something and he's going to get it and he's going to play with it for 3 seconds. He's going to throw it down and he'll never look at it again.
Well, we talked about that on our last episode. If you haven't listened to that episode just yet, go back and do that. after you listen to this one, and then give us a thumbs up.
Oh.
But we talked about that in our last episode.
Yeah.
When we got toys, we play. That's what we did.
Yeah.
We played with our toys. Now I think what it is for kids now is that there's so much.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. It's so overwhelming. They're just like, I want that. I want it. I want it now.
Yeah.
And the marketing has gotten so much better now.
Aren't they sly?
Oh man, they're good.
Sly
They are
dogs.
good.
Sly
Yeah.
dogs. Yeah. What do you, as far as the marketing, what's the one thing that stands out to you the most on how they kind of position that? Is there something that
It's
kind of...
it's the YouTuber stuff.
Yeah.
The YouTubers, they got the all of the sponsorships that go in and everything like that. Like I was down here doing laundry the other day. The kids were watching some YouTuber. I don't even know what they were watching.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you. I mean, it was safe for kids, obviously. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's the sponsorship. This video is brought to you by blah 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 blah. And then they've got the kid playing with the toy and stuff like that. And they made like an old school commercial. And I'm just like, those clever sons of guns.
Dude, I think the number one thing that pops out at me, fidget spinners. You remember fidget spinners?
I do. I have a fidget spinner.
Yeah, I've got a collection of fidget spinners. My God, it's just...
It's next to my Pogs.
Yeah, there you throw them in the same box.
That's right.
It's for anybody that doesn't know what a fidget spinner is, it literally has this little piston in the middle. No, I wouldn't call it a piston. I would call
like
it
a ball bearing
A ball
thing.
bearing. You hold on to the middle and you spin the outside, and it's got three little. It's like a tri. It's kind of like a triangle.
Kind of.
But rounded on the edges and
Yeah.
stuff. It's just a weird little thing, and you just spin it, and you can spin it holding it with your middle finger and your thumb, and it spins in between the hole of your fingers, and it's just kind of one of those things that you can keep spinning it, and it just I don't know, I guess
Yeah.
it's soothing. I guess you can do tricks with it. I don't know.
It soothes your fidgetiness.
You're fidgety. It gives you something to do with your hands.
I'm very fidgety.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm at work and I'm sitting at it. Like my leg is bouncing right now. 'Cause
I always
I'm
have to
kind
be
of
moving.
Fidgety. Yeah.
See, that's something I didn't know about you. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
learned something new. But I'm the same way. I always, when I'm watching TV, if my leg isn't bouncing or I'm not moving in some way, I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't take energy. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get into that in
Yeah.
another episode.
I'm going to write that down.
So anyway, yeah, the fidget spinners, YouTube.
Market
Dude,
it. Yeah. I know.
all of them.
Yep.
These different YouTubers, every one of them had their brand and their logo slapped on fidget spinners, and you can get them done at any nickel and dime online store.
Yep.
And then they're making a killing off of that
Yeah.
stuff, and that's just one of a kabillion. Mm-hmm. Is that a word? Kabillion?
Let me Google it.
Can I? And if it's not, can I make it a word? Kabillion?
We'll copyright it.
Okay. Yeah. Kabillion. So yeah, that it is. It's smart marketing. I'm just waiting on Kabillion.
It's a cable channel.
It is?
Yeah.
Kabillion.
It's a kids cable channel.
Kids cable channel.
There you go. The more you know.
My dad intuition told me my kids would like something like
Is
that.
that
You
what it
know?
was?
No,
it's,
not
I think
at
it's,
all.
I think it's geared towards girls, but
Oh.
it's fine.
You got me beat.
Yeah.
The Aaron inside joke. So we've kind of talked about the invisible concept of money and whatnot. Didn't you have an article
Yeah.
that you had read about kids and money?
Yeah, I was reading this article. It was from U.S. News, and it's by Jeff Williams. It's called 17 Ways to Teach Your Kids About Money. And it's teaching kids about money, including how to save, spend wisely, so they can set themselves up for long-term success.
Okay.
Do you want to go through the 17?
Let's do it. Let's run through them real quick.
All right. Let's see here. So number one is demonstrate the value of money. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about, having a glass jar instead of a piggy bank so they can actually see the money.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the jar I had that I was talking about. It's clear. It's got a little lid on top. You put the coins in and it counts it out and tells you how much is in there.
Sure.
So that's a good way to do it. And then making sure they have physical money that they collect so that they can understand what it is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is to talk to your kids about money, which I've started doing this a lot more. You know, they'll go to the store, they'll ask for something. The big thing now is they go, can we have a snack?
At the store?
That's what
They'll
they
say
say.
this
Yeah,
at the
they go,
store?
if we're good, can we have a snack? And I go, if you're good, you can have a snack. Yes, that's fine. We can do that. And then I explain to them they pick it out, and I go, this is this much, this is this much.
Yeah.
And are you guys okay with that? And they're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, great. So that way they can kind of understand. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Talk about money when or after you watch TV shows.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if you're binging a lot if you're binge watching a lot with your kids, you may notice there are a lot of money lessons that you can painlessly teach to your kids. It says specifically on here, he talks about, for instance, people often comment on how unlikely it would be that the young adult characters on Friends could afford the roomy apartments that they live in.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, they take these exotic vacations,
Yeah.
you know, to go get married in whatever.
Jamaica,
but,
or they go to
yeah.
like Punta Cana or something
Yeah,
like that. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. It's
No one can do that. Another one is number 4 is pull out the board games. Okay, so I think specifically talks about Monopoly, right?
Sure.
Another one that is good is the game of life. And one that we like a lot, that we've kind of played a lot with our oldest, because she's learning about money and she's learning about numbers and stuff like that, and addition, subtraction, all that good stuff, is Mall Madness.
I remember that.
Mall Madness.
Mall Madness.
It's hard to find,
Yeah.
but we found one, and it was my wife's favorite game when she was a kid. So we like to play that with her too. And
I have to say, I almost think the board game thing is detrimental. And the reason why, not to go against this guy, but I actually think that kids get the wrong idea about how easy it is to get money, because, man, I have sticky fingers when I'm playing Monopoly. And I see a $100 bill just sitting over there willy-nilly. It's coming home with Dan. It's coming home with me. And I think my kids like to steal money when we're playing Monopoly, too, because they're always winning. And it's like, no. I own half the board. How did you win?
I don't play Monopoly. I don't really like playing it because
Well, it takes too long.
I don't have 4 hours.
Yeah.
And second of all, I am just not that good at it.
Yeah, it's you know, our oldest son, Rico, it's like when I like to think myself as a pretty good video gamer,
Sure.
a gamer, and I'll get on there and it's like I play a game with him and he just whoops on me. He just whoops that tail, man. He just makes me look stupid. Not on every game, though. I don't want to make myself look like a
Sure.
slough, but
You probably beat me. I've only been playing it for 5 months, maybe.
really?
Yeah.
Well, when we get into board games, I kind of think, okay, this is my territory now.
Yeah.
Now I've got the advantage,
And he still just whoops you.
and he still just whoops. It's like, and then it's when Parker comes in, the littlest one in the family, when he comes in and he just storms through everybody, and it's like, wow, these kids, they're something else.
Yeah.
They're something
Yeah.
else. So that was number 4?
Yeah. Number 5 is let your kids shop. And so we've done this a few times. They'll get money, and they're like, "Oh, I've got this money. I want to buy something." I'm like, "Well, what do you want to buy?" "I don't know." I'm like, "Well, let's look on Amazon."
Mm-hmm.
They'll sit next to me, and we'll scroll through Amazon looking for stuff. And Lola bought herself a winter hat. It was one of those ones with a little hole for the ponytail.
Sure.
She took her money. She wanted to buy that, so I ordered it. She gave me the money. Boom, there it is.
I actually had that happen today, this morning.
Really?
Rico wanted an action figure, and it was, and he goes, "Here's the money. Can you get it with your Amazon account?"
Yep.
So it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Stress the importance of curbing impulse purchases, and we had talked about this already.
Yeah,
I mean,
big time.
it's just a matter of I'm like, for me, they get that $1. They want to go to the Dollar Tree, and I'm like, well, hold on. I'm like, why don't you save it?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and then if you have $5, you can go get one really cool thing.
Yeah.
Or you can get 5 things from the Dollar Tree.
Patience is
Save
a
it.
virtue,
That's
though.
right. Save it up.
Patience is a virtue.
That's right. Start a coin collection. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Discuss big purchases with your kids, which we've done this occasionally. When they got the trampoline,
Uh-huh.
we're like, this is how much it costs.
Yeah. You just told them.
You need to know how much it costs. So if you break it, that's how much it costs. They're like, oh, okay, cool. And then they were a little bit more appreciative. Grandma's the one that bought it for them. They were like, thank you, Grandma. We appreciate it. And they're
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Thank
Holy
you, Grandma.
jeez.
That's, yeah.
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 Yeah. And I think that's awesome. I can see where some dads, some parents may think that's a little taboo. I can understand where they would think that.
Well,
saying,
that's how my family was when I was growing up, and I didn't understand, why my dad would get so mad if I broke something.
Sure.
You know?
No, I get that. I think that's
Sure.
that is something that I would do today. I think I would handle it that way. Say, hey, this is how much this is, and you've got to take care of what you've got. This leads me into a story.
Sure.
And this leads me into a story happened today. But I do want to say, though, I think some people may think that that's taboo. It's none of your kids' business how much your vacation cost. Or
No.
Your house. Say a kid puts a hole in a wall and you say, listen, this is $175,000 house and you're putting holes in the wall. You don't want to go about it that way.
I wouldn't do that. But what I would do is if they put a hole in the wall, I go, this is how much it's going to cost to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good teaching
I
tool.
wouldn't be like, this is a $70,000 Cadillac.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't do that.
That's a great way to position it.
Yeah.
Because then you're seeing that you're not going to have to buy another Cadillac, but you're going to have to fix that little piece that you just broke.
Yep.
There.
And this is how much it's going to cost.
So today, Parker was playing some video games, and he had gotten to a very high stage on a video game.
Yes.
And you would think that he would say, hey, I got to a high stage, the highest I've ever been on this game. Woohoo! Look at me. No. It was nothing like that. When he finally got out, he got beat, and he was on level 23, highest of anybody in the house. He was pissed. He was so mad, he threw down his headset.
Sure.
What happened? His headset broke. Now, it wasn't one of these $100 and some odd headsets because I kind of pre-planned a little bit. I said, you know what? He's 8. Stuff gets thrown around.
Yeah.
His headset's going to be broke at some
Sure.
point. So it was a lower end one, but still, as soon as he did that, I said, okay, the video games are done for now. We've got to, because I don't want you, I certainly don't want to have to spend my own money just to replace something that you broke.
Right.
Because you got mad.
Right.
And then I told him, so he could understand, I said, hey, man, I go, when you have any money of your own, let's say your Batman piggy bank that you've got up there, let's say if you have any gift cards for Amazon or anything like that, like you said earlier, the Tooth Fairy, birthdays, Christmas, I don't want you to have to spend your money just to replace something that you broke.
Right.
So that's what we're going through today.
Okay.
And we're going to keep the video games are gone for a while. They're going to be gone for a little bit.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I think I understand. Maybe I can have the video games back when we get home. And it's like, no, man, no, you don't understand. You have, you have sympathy for yourself right now.
Sure.
Where you're like, man, I don't have my video games. I can't play video games now. Oh, I learned my
world's
lesson.
ending.
Yeah, the world's done. It's nothing like that. He feels sorry for himself, but once he gets those video games back in his hand,
Yeah.
that concept's going to be out the window. Then he doesn't have to feel sorry for himself anymore. And it's one of those things where this is a very valuable learning tool. And I think that, I'm going to use this to my advantage. But, man, it's tough. It's tough because, it goes back, it harkens back to this whole money thing that we're talking about this episode. And it's hard to teach your kids sometimes when it comes to money.
Yeah.
Even if you think you have a rock solid plan, even if you have everything in order, it's very easy to get blindsided when it comes to money.
Yeah, for sure.
And, it's just, it's tough. It's tough.
It is, yeah. And I'm going through something similar like that with Lola. She keeps coming home with holes in her leggings, and I'm like, how does this keep happening? I don't know. I'm like, you don't know? They just magically appear?
Yeah.
I personally think she's cutting holes in them to try and make herself seem trendy. So I said, she's like, well, I need more leggings. Okay, well, you get your money. We'll go to Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to
What?
buy the leggings.
I'm like, you're going to go buy the leggings.
That's exactly it.
Like,
yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm tired of spending money on leggings.
You know,
It's ridiculous. They're not pants anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So Parker will get his video games back when I trust that he understands a little bit more the value of the stuff that he has. And of course, the value of the stuff you have harkens back to the money that you spent to get it in the first place.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So we're on number
Number 9. Number 9. Encourage teens. It says teens. I think that little kids like 6 and up are okay on this. Encourage teens to get jobs and earn money. I'm not saying my daughter's going to go out and get a job, but she can clean her room. She can clean up the bathroom. She can, dust the floor because we have hardwood floors. She can do that kind of stuff and help them to kind of understand. And they do that sometimes.
Sure.
Talk about opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is not a phrase any normal parent likely uses with their kids or themselves, really. I think that's a financial term. But it's a trendy phrase to describe how buying one thing might prevent you from buying something else. Which I think we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, interesting concept.
Encourage your kids to give to charity, which Lola does this. My oldest daughter, she gives to charity all the time. I remember when she was at St. Phil, she was at a Catholic school, and they were doing a donation for
It was for Grubentown?
No, I can't remember what it's called. It's some charity thing or whatever. But she came home and she emptied out her thing and she put all of her money into the thing. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Well, I got to give to this charity. I'm like, you don't have to give all your money. UNICEF. It was UNICEF. I'm like, you don't have to give all your money to UNICEF. It's okay. Like,
but
we'll do it together.
Yeah. But it struck a nerve with her.
Yeah.
She wanted to help out.
She's just one of those compassionate kids.
That's
Sylvia
awesome.
is the total opposite.
Yeah. Both of my boys, as far as if they know that somebody is in need, they'll give a toy for somebody in need, or their clothes or coats or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really know about the money situation. I think my oldest, he would. Mm-hmm. He's the most generous human being I know.
He's a good dude.
Just a great kid. But my little one, I don't know. If you were positioned where he had money in his hand, physical dollar bills.
Yep.
And you said, hey, there's a chair. Now, I think that if you had somebody that was standing there or you explained to him the situation, man, there are some people that really need some help, then he would get it.
Sure.
He would get it. He's got a good heart. But it's just, there's that age group for kids where when they have that money, man, that's a lot of power that they've got.
That's my money,
that's
though.
Mine. Can't somebody else give it to him?
Yeah.
And that's just, as a parent, you've just got to learn how to handle that. You got to learn how to maneuver that situation. And sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, it is. Number 12 is help your children open a bank account. I think my dad opened a SFQ account for me when I was like 16.
Really?
But I don't remember ever using it.
I think my dad opened one for me. God, I may have been a little bit older, but I think I still have $25 in the bank floating around in Pekin, Illinois somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Herget Bank has my $25 and I want it back.
Alyssa's dad, Jerry, he opened a SFQ account for her, and that's the one we still use.
Is it for real?
Yeah.
That's
She added me to her account, and
that's cool.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
Yeah,
legacy account.
That's right. Show your kids how to make a budget. I don't think we're quite there yet. because I'm still not great on making a budget, but
Yeah, yeah. And I think it just harkens back to the concept of when everything's digital and you're buying it online or you're just swiping a card and stuff. It's I feel like that's a little bit harder
Sure.
to do a budget because it's so quick.
Yeah.
It's so fast. Boom. That money's spent.
Yeah.
And I think that you've really got to kind of step back and you got to put some time in between, a budget that's not just a budget for the end of that day.
Right.
This is a budget for the rest of the month. And
Yeah.
I think that's the way that you need to go about doing it.
Yep.
Is a long-term deal.
Yeah. Make saving for something a family project is number 14.
Okay.
So they specifically reference getting a new TV and how everybody can contribute to getting that. I don't mind that. That's kind of cool.
I've never thought about that even once.
The kids want a Nintendo Switch, and I'm
I
like,
think that's cool.
yeah,
That's cool, man.
maybe we'll start doing that.
Yeah.
Number 15, teach kids to use credit cards the right way. No.
Just
I don't want a credit card. I don't have a credit card. No. Just a big old no for me.
dude, you and I.
That is one of those things that I just don't trust myself because I'm like, oh, I have this invisible money that's there that I can use whenever I want, and then I'm screwed.
I hate paying it back.
Yeah.
I love getting the stuff.
Yeah.
I hate paying it back.
Yep.
And the
If
longer,
I think that was one of the things that my dad taught me, that like if you don't have the money,
Yeah.
that's what Jerry always told Alyssa. If you don't have the money, you don't need it.
that's how I always do it, man.
Yep.
That's how I always do it. Pay outright for it if you can.
Yep.
And I'm not a credit card guy.
No.
So
Number 16, introduce your kids to basic investing concepts.
yeah, I would agree.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
GameStop.
Why not?
Share your past money mistakes.
That's
Again, I think that's something that could be classified as taboo. And some parents might go, "Nah, I'm not going to tell my kids about that."
You know what's funny? Because as you were calling it taboo, I was about ready to say that should be number one on the list.
Really?
I swear to God to you. I swear to God. I was getting ready to praise it, and now I'm gonna downplay it.
No,
yeah,
no,
it's
no.
okay. It's okay.
No, I mean, I think it depends on on what your mistakes were. But I mean, I don't know. I will do that with my kids, but like, I don't think my parents would ever do that with me.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a generational thing, like we're a little bit more open about stuff like that than our parents probably would have been, or at least my parents definitely are or would have been back then.
Yeah, my dad really keeps an eye on his money. And
Sure.
he's very meticulous with what he does with it. And that's his prerogative. Go for it, man.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, because it's yours. You've worked hard for it.
Yep.
However you want to, go about it. Like I said, he's the most generous human imaginable. So yeah, he's just with his money. That's his prerogative, and I get that. But I think my generation, I feel a little bit different about it. I think I would tell my kids, "Hey, I screwed up when I bought that."
That's
And
what I'm saying. Yeah.
and it wasn't a good investment, or I kind of, I have no shame in that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
and maybe it's because I'm not spending high dollar amounts of money and losing my butt on stuff.
That's true.
You got to have high dollars to spend high dollars.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
So anyway, so do we have any more on that list?
No, that's it. That was 17.
Okay, well that was
So yeah,
pretty
that's
comprehensive.
U.S. news. I will link to it down in the description. 17 ways to teach your kids about money.
That's great, man. And that's kind of how I was wanting to end this podcast, was talking about stuff that we can teach our kids,
Sure.
and stuff that we have taught our kids, and I think we've went through that, and I think that list was a perfect kind of cap on the whole conversation. Is there anything else that you can think of that's important to hit that we haven't already?
I don't think so. I'm going to be honest. I think we covered a lot of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I will say that earlier we're talking about buying a car and that kind of stuff. And when I got my first car, it was a truck, it was a pickup truck. My dad bought it for me and charged me 10% interest.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Are you for real?
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
that was when I was just like, okay, I understand this.
Yeah.
I understand money. I got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it.
It hits you like a
Yeah.
ton of bricks.
10% interest. I paid it back.
Did you?
I did.
Good man.
Working at Big Lots. Paid it back.
That kind of reminds me of something. Is my dad, when it came time to get me a car,
Yeah.
he goes, I'll buy you a car when you get a job. And I said, well, I can't have a job unless I have a car to get to it. And that was the way that we went around.
Yeah.
I tried to say, well, Dad, I can't get to the job unless you get me a car.
My brother did that too.
Yeah, and I remember it wasn't anything. It never got malicious. It never got into
Sure.
any fights or anything like that. But I remember there was a period of time there in high school where we would kind of go around and talk about that a little bit, and it's funny. It's so funny. I can't wait to see what happens when my kids get old enough to where we're buying them cars or they're buying their self cars or I'm buying the car and putting interest on it
That's
for
right.
them. So
10%
I think
interest.
that's a great idea. That's
I was so mad at the time.
goes
though.
into the vacation fund or something.
Yeah.
Huh? You know, what did he do with that money? You think?
I don't know.
It's just
I don't know. Who knows? I never asked him.
Well, I tell you what, we always like to end these with a little dose of fatherly advice. And I think the best way that we can kind of sum up the whole topic, money doesn't grow on trees, is whether your family is rich or poor or somewhere in between, don't let money define how good of a dad you are.
Wise words.
Thank you. I think it's just very important that it should have no bearing on how good of a dad you are. I mean, you still get on the floor and play with your kids. You still make sure that they're provided for, have food in their bellies, get into school. That's the stuff that matters. Doesn't matter what you have in your bank account, because good people are good people.
Yep.
Everything else aside.
That's right.
Aaron, this was a whole lot of fun,
As always.
and we've got a lot more ground to cover in this whole dad thing, which we will get to in the next episode.
That's right. Thank you so much for listening to the Not Half Dad podcast, available wherever podcasts can be found. Find us on social media at Not Half Dad Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you liked the episode, make sure you give us a big old thumbs up. Make sure you rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts and whatever other platform you use. And if you want to share some stories with us, always email us at nothalfdadpod@gmail.com. And Dan, I just want to ask you really quick.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
Lay it
You got
on
a
me.
second?
I do.
Okay. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?
How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? I have no idea.
10 tickles.